Shalom, Israel. Most High in Christ bless. Most High in Christ bless. We have a good class for you prepared today. The topic of the class is Israel in Africa. And to my right, my reader.
Soldier Kashaw.
Okay, Soldier Kashaw is going to be reading today. Just wanted to elaborate on a lot of these classes that we often do about Israel being in Africa. We're probably one of the main camps that stemmed from the original One West, who the Most High has blessed us with the wisdom and understanding to realize that our brothers and sisters are over there on the continent of Africa, okay, throughout the diaspora. I want to open up with Jeremiah 17, verse 4. I want to open up with Jeremiah 17 and verse 4.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17 and verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not.
So we know we've been discontinued from our heritage. That means our culture, the food we ate, understanding of God's laws, understanding of who we are, a self-purpose, self-identity. The Most High said that we would discontinue from our heritage. When did this happen? All the times we went into captivity. Every single time we went into captivity, we would discontinue from our heritage, sometimes more than others. A majority of times when we came out, we knew who we were. Sometimes when we came out, we started speaking other languages. We started serving other gods. We were totally destroyed as a nation of people. Get me Psalm 78 and verse 5. Because the Bible is a constitution. These laws, statutes, and commandments is a constitution for our people to follow. Okay, we have moral laws, civil laws, ceremonial laws, dietary laws, sacrificial laws. All of these things pertained to the children of Israel and for the children of Israel only. Come on.
The book of Psalms, chapter 78 and verse 5. For he established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel.
So he established a testimony in Jacob and a what?
And appointed a law in Israel.
And a law in Israel. And a law in Israel. Okay? So what happened to our people? We were held captives of slaves for a certain amount of time. When dealing with Egypt, we were over there in Egypt for 400 years. 400 years. I'm going to show you an example of straying from the laws and discontinuing from God after we read this verse. Let's start with Genesis 15 and verse 13. Genesis chapter 15 and verse 13.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 15 and verse 13.
Mm-hmm.
And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs.
So this was the promise. This was the promise that the Most High made to our forefather Abraham, that his descendants, his seed, shall be what?
It says, and he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs.
And that land that the Most High was making reference to is Egypt. And we were there for 400 years. So what happened? What do you think happened when we was in Egypt? We started to follow the customs of the heathens. Now, for the 400 years that we were there, we didn't have yokes of iron on our necks the whole time, but we were still servants. We were still made to serve with rigor. Okay, we were the underclass in Egypt, and we started to assimilate. We started to integrate and follow the ways of the heathen. This is why God said this. Give me Leviticus 18. Leviticus 18 and verse 1.
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 18 and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, I am the Lord your God. After the doing of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do.
You hear that? So the Most High God is reconfirming that he is our God. And he's letting us know, all this garbage that you learned in Egypt, I don't want you to do it no more. That's why all of our laws were contrary to the laws of the other nations. Remember, brothers and sisters, we were there for 400 years. So we picked up all of the ways of Egypt. Okay? We picked up all of their customs, their laws. We picked all of that up. God said, I have to cleanse you. Before you enter into the land of Canaan, I must cleanse you. That's why he gave us laws, statutes, and commandments so we could govern ourselves. Get me Wisdom of Solomon. Was that to verse 3? You read to verse 3? All right, let's get Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and verse 16. And somebody grab me the concordant, the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, if you have one. All right, come on.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and verse 16. Thus in process of time, an ungodly custom grown strong was kept as a law. And graven images were worshipped by the commandments of kings.
So an ungodly custom was kept as a law. And in the process of time, read that again from the start.
Thus in process of time. And
thus in process of time. I wanted to concentrate on that word right there. Thus in process of time. Because 400 years, that sounds like a long time. All right? God is letting you know in the process of time, a what?
An ungodly custom.
Ungodly customs.
Grown strong was kept as a law.
Grown strong was kept as a law. That's why when we left out of Egypt, it was hard for many of our forefathers to let go of those things that they learned in Egypt. Okay? Same thing with America. A lot of times it's hard for our people to repent and come into this truth of who they are because of one word, tradition, that they learned that became accustomed to them through a process of time. Okay? Traditions that was given to them from their foreparents passed all the way down. Now they don't want to leave because there's some kind of an affinity there where they have to hold on to these customs that they were taught by their parents. And I want to show you an example of that. Let's pull up that picture from this book. All right. Let's pull up the picture. There we go. All right. And what page is this? Page 44. And the name of the book is The Picturistic of Egypt. Okay. Now, when you scroll in, what do you see here? Okay. These are the Israelites in bondage. Okay. And they're surrounded by Egyptians, Hamites. And look what's going on. Look what's going on. Can you zoom into the picture or no? There. Okay. Young man, head being shaved bald. And the Egyptians not only shaved the hair off the head, they shaved the eyebrows as well. Okay, that was their custom. That was their custom. They're holding down the child, and she is shaving all of his head off. So this was a custom that became law through a process of time. That's why when we came up out of Egypt, the Most High gave us a law that forbid us to shave off our beard. Let's prove that.
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 21 and verse 5. They shall not make baldness upon their head, neither shall they shave off the corner of their beard, or make any cuttings in the flesh.
See, so that was a law right there that the Most High said, look, all of that stuff that you learned in Egypt, no more. Come up out of that. I'm going to give you my laws, my peculiar laws to keep you separate from the heathens. Okay, so we always had a relationship with the Egyptians, the Canaanites, the Babylonians. We was slaves in Egypt for 400 years. We picked up their customs. Joseph was in Egypt prior to Moses. Okay, you don't think Joseph picked up a few customs up there in Egypt? So the Israelites always dwelt amongst the Hamites, just like today where we have Israel in Africa today amongst the Hamites. All right, let's get 2 Kings chapter 20. 2 Kings chapter 20. Because remember, the Babylonians were the ancient Cushites. All right, today we call them Ethiopians. All right, that whole family descends from Ham. Okay? 2 Kings chapter 20, we're going to start at verse 12.
This is the book of 2 Kings, chapter 20 and verse 12. At that time, Berodach, Baladan, the son of Baladan, king of Babylon, sent letters and present unto Hezekiah, for he had heard that Hezekiah had been sick.
So Hezekiah was the king of Judah, okay, and he was sick. All right, come on.
And Hezekiah hearkened unto them, and showed them all the house of his precious things, the silver and the gold, and the spices and the precious ointment, and all the house of his armor, and all that was found in his treasures. There was nothing in his house, nor in all his dominion, that Hezekiah showed them not.
So Hezekiah got simple. Hezekiah showed this Babylonian king, his name is Berodach Baladan, showed him all of his riches in the house. So what you think happened? Envy and covetousness happened, all right? He put that spirit on that king. So when we read on, which we're about to read on, Isaiah comes in and he checks Hezekiah on that. You showed this man your whole house. You showed him everything, every secret place in your palace, in your kingdom. You showed this man. You simple as hell. Come on.
Then came Isaiah the prophet unto King Hezekiah, and said unto him, What said these men? And from whence came they unto thee? And Hezekiah said, They are come from a far country, even from Babylon.
So what I want to show you is during the time of Hezekiah, who was the king of Judah, right? Babylon was not a superpower in the earth. Babylon was not a superpower in the earth, although they had their own kingdom and their own king. They were not a superpower in the earth. Okay, the superpower that was about to take the rise at this time was Assyria. Okay, read.
Verse 15. And he said, What have they seen in thine house? And Hezekiah answered, All the things that are in mine house have they seen. There is nothing among my treasures that I have not showed
So
them.
Hezekiah got simple and showed this man of the heathen of another nation all his riches. And we know in the book of Sirach, it tells you to what? Never trust thine enemies. Who are the enemies? You go to Nehemiah 5 verse 9. It tells you the heathens are our enemies. Okay? I don't care if this man came up to Jerusalem to pay tribute, to treat him good, to see how he was doing. God says the heathen are your enemies. Okay? That's how the Most High God created them. The Most High God put the nations on this earth to chastise us. Okay? Come on.
And Isaiah said unto Hezekiah, Hear the word of the Lord. Behold, the days come that all that is in thine house, and that which thy fathers have laid up in store unto this day, shall be carried into Babylon.
So that was the prophecy. So I wanted to show you that there was always a relationship between Israel and Babylon, the Africans, okay? It was always there. It was always there, okay? We always had that relationship with them, and then sometimes we dwelt around them. We dwelt amongst them. Read.
Nothing shall be left, saith the Lord. And of thy sons that shall issue from thee, which thou shalt beget, shall they take away. And they shall be eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon.
And they shall be eunuchs in Babylon. Eunuchs in Babylon. Was that prophecy fulfilled? Yes, it came to pass. Now, not after Hezekiah died, because after Hezekiah died, his son Manasseh reigned in his seat. Okay? Babylon was not yet a superpower, all right? So as you jump forward in prophecy and in time, Zedekiah went into captivity and had his eyes poking out. Okay? Zedekiah went into captivity. Daniel went into captivity. Daniel was a eunuch in Babylon under Nebuchadnezzar. So all of these prophecies were fulfilled. All of these prophecies were fulfilled. Okay? Let's get Jeremiah 25 and 11. Jeremiah 25 and 11. Okay. Let's go ahead and read that.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 25 and verse 11. And this whole land shall be a desolation and an astonishment, and these nations shall serve the king of Babylon 70 years.
So we served Babylon for 70 years. We served Babylon for 70 years. Brothers and sisters, what do you think happened in those 70 years? We started to learn their customs. We started to integrate, assimilate, and we started to learn their customs. Same thing that happened in Egypt. Okay, the same thing you have now. We have Israelites in Africa calling themselves Africans, following African traditions, following African customs, but the spirit of Israel is in Africa. The seed of Israel is in Africa. So when you hear Israelite camps saying that there's no Israelites over there, that's crazy. So you think all of the Israelites are over here in America and that's it? When there's like a whole bunch of scriptures that tell you that Israel is in Africa. It's crazy. It's bugged out. Now, get me the right here. Find where it says calendar. I want to read something to show you how the assimilation and integration confused us when we were in Babylon. All right? And Babylon, the root word out of that you want is Babel, which means confusion. So Israel was confused as hell after we left Babylon. And we was just there for 70 years. So over here in America, we're integrated and assimilated. How long we been here? For over 400 years as well. For about 400 years as well. Look at our people. Valentine's Day, Thanksgiving, Mother's Day, Christmas, Easter, the last name of the so-called white man. Guess what? It's the same thing. It's the same pattern. It's the same thing happening to Israelites all over again. Get me calendar. You know what I want, right? Yeah.
This is the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. Calendar, definition 3. The Hebrew month began with the new moon. Before the exile months were designated by numbers.
So before the exile months it says were designated by numbers?
Were designated by numbers. Yes,
so they were designated by numbers. But when we came up out of Babylon, we started to give them names. Come on.
After the exile, names adopted from Babylonians were used.
So after the exile, after 70 years, we took on the names. We took on the names of Babylonian gods, and we gave our months Babylonian names. And this just happened during a time span of 70 years. Okay, so how much more now with our brothers and sisters in Africa? That's what you'll see. You'll see people doing weird customs like drinking blood, doing different weird stuff to animals, shaving off the head, and then we'll say, oh, Hamite. But guess what? Those were learned customs. Those were learned customs. And we're reading about an example of that right now. Read.
It says, synchronized Jewish sacred calendar. The first example, Nisan.
Remember, the first month was called Abib. That was month number 1, called Abib. When we came up out of Babylon, we renamed it Nisan. Nisan was a Babylonian god. Read.
March to April. Second, Iyar.
Come on.
Sivan.
Tammuz. Now the list goes on and on. All of those are Babylonian names. Okay, so I want to show y'all what slavery for 70 years done to us. Assimilation into integration messed up our minds. Okay, now it said Tammuz there, right? Get me Ezekiel. Get me Ezekiel 8:14. Let me show y'all something. Ezekiel 8:14.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 8 and verse 14. Then he brought me to the door of the gate of the Lord's house, which was towards the north. And behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz.
So where was Ezekiel? Ezekiel was in the Babylonian captivity. He seen woman, our woman, Israelite woman, weeping for Tammuz. Tammuz was a Babylonian god. So what happened? We started to pick up their customs. And then we took that name of that god, who's actually Nimrod in the regeneration, reincarnation, if you want to call it. It's actually Nimrod. They renamed him Tammuz. That was the Babylonian name that they gave him at that time. But we took that name and we called it after our month to show you how destroyed we were as a people. All right, read that again.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 8 and verse 14. Then he brought me to the door of the gate of the Lord's house, which was toward the north. And behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz.
You see, there sat women weeping for Tammuz. Okay? Now, let's go to Joshua chapter 7. We're going to jump around because it's kind of long. You could start at Joshua 7 and verse 1.
The book of Joshua, chapter 7 and verse 1. But the children of Israel committed a trespass in the accursed thing. For Achan, the son of Carmi, the son of Zabdi, the son of Zerath of the tribe of Judah, took of the accursed thing. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against the children of Israel. And
Come on.
And Joshua sent men from Jericho to Ai, which is beside Beth Aven, on the east side of Bethel, and spake unto them, saying, Go up and view the country. And the men went up and viewed Ai. And they returned to Joshua and said unto him, Let not all the people go up, but let about 2,000 or 3,000 men go up and smite Ai, and make not all the people to labor thither, for they are but few. So there went up thither of the people about 3,000 men, and they fled before the men of Ai.
Now jump down to verse 9. So because of this man's covetousness and theft, he caused a lot of Israel to get put to death. All right, we're going to just jump up for the sake of time. Verse 9.
Verse 9. For the Canaanites and all the inhabitants of the land shall hear of it.
Now it says the Canaanites. It said the Canaanites. Who was Canaan? He was one of the sons of Ham. Okay, come on.
And for the Canaanites and all the inhabitants of the land shall hear of it, and shall environ us round and cut off our name from the earth. And what wilt thou do unto thy great name? And the Lord said unto Joshua, Get thee up, wherefore liest thou thus upon thy face? Israel hath sinned, and they have also transgressed my covenant.
So whenever we're in sin, wherever we're in transgression, the Most High is going to chastise us. Come on.
Israel hath sinned, and they have also transgressed my covenants, which I commanded them. For they have even taken of the accursed thing, and have also stolen and dissembled also, and they have put it even among their own stuff.
Come on.
Therefore the children of Israel could not stand before their enemies, but turned their backs before their enemies, because they accursed, because they were accursed, neither will I be with you anymore, except you destroy the accursed from among you.
Okay, now you're going to jump up. Remember what it said earlier, brothers and sisters, in verse 9. It said, for the Canaanites and all the inhabitants, right? Now, let's jump to the part where Achan comes out and he confesses his sin. Verse 21.
Verse 21. When I saw among the spoils a goodly Babylonian garment.
Stop. He said, when I saw among the spoils a goodly Babylonian garments. But when we read earlier, it referred to them as the Canaanites. What is making reference to is the whole family of Ham, Babylonian garment. Because he could have said a Canaanitish garment, but he used the word Babylonian garment. All right, letting you know that they're all one and the same. That's all the family of Ham. They're all related, okay? The ancient Africans, that's who they are. Okay, read.
When I saw among the spoils a goodly Babylonian garment, and 200 shekels of silver, and a wedge of gold of 50 shekels weight, then I coveted them, and took them. And behold, they are hid in the earth in the midst of my tent, and the silver under it.
So he was later on, he was put to death as God commanded, and then the curse was relieved from Israel. But the point that I wanted to bring out is said he referred to it as a Babylonian garments to show you that Israel always dwelt amongst the Africans, just like today. There's nothing new under the sun, brothers and sisters, nothing new. Okay, remember, they called it the land of Canaan. All right, there's nothing new under the sun. All right, let's jump up. Let's go to Acts. Let's get the book of Acts. Now we're going to go to the New Testament. Let's get the book of Acts, chapter 8 and verse 27.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 8 and verse 27. And he arose and went, and behold, a man of Ethiopia.
A man of who?
A man of Ethiopia.
Another word for Ethiopia is Cush. Another word for Ethiopia was Cush. All right, Cush was the ancient Babylonians. Okay, come on.
And eunuch of great authority.
He was a what?
And eunuch of great authority. Under Candace, queen of the Ethiopians.
He was a eunuch under great authority under Candace of the Ethiopians. Okay, and he was an Israelite. He was not a heathen. He was an Israelite. Okay, that had came back to Jerusalem to worship. Okay, as it states in the law. 3 times out of the year, the male shall appear in Jerusalem. Okay, and he came back with his superior at this time, Candace, who's a queen. Let's pull up that information on Candace, please. Or other, she's also known as Kandaki. All right, right there. Okay, Kandaki, Kandak, or Kentucky, often Latinized as Candace, was the Meretic language term for queen or possibly royal woman. Contemporary Greek and Roman sources treat it as a title. Several ruling queens of the ancient kingdom of Cush, with its capital at Meroe, bore the title. Although it may have been a general title for women of the royal family, it is often taken to mean queen mother or mother of the reigning king. But although this was the common status of ruling Kandakis, the term itself did not have the specific meaning. The name Candace is derived from the way the word is used in the New Testament. All right, you can close that out. Okay, just wanted to show you the history on there. And there's different artifacts and relics that show you that this woman or these women with these titles from Cush existed, okay? It is not a fairy tale. The Bible is a history book. So, even in the New Testament, we had brothers and sisters, Israelites, dwelling amongst the Africans. This is a perfect example. That was a perfect example. Let's get another example. Let's get Acts 13 and verse 1.
The book of Acts, chapter 13 and verse 1. Now there were in the church that was in Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon, that was called Nigger.
You see? So this man came from that region that was called Nigger or Niger. Okay? This is the region that he came from. But of course, during that time, it wasn't called that. There was another name. But he did come from that region. Give me Acts, the 2nd chapter. Let's start at verse 5. Acts chapter 2 and verse 5.
The book of Acts, chapter 2 and verse 5. And there was dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven.
Devout men out of every nation under heaven. Come on.
Now when this was noised abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded, because that every man heard them speak in his own language. And they were all amazed and marveled, saying one to another, Behold, are not all these which speak Galilean? And how hear we every man in our own tongue, wherein we were born? Parthians and Medes.
So that's Persia and the Medes scattered over there. Come on.
And Elamites.
And Elamites, India. Come on.
And the dwellers in Mesopotamia.
And the dwellers in Mesopotamia. Okay, that's the whole region around Iraq. Come on.
And in Judea.
And in Judea.
And Cappadocia. In Pontus and Asia.
Asia Minor.
Phrygia.
Come on.
And Pamphylia. In Egypt. And in the parts...
Egypt, Northeast Africa. There we go. Come on.
And in the parts of Libya about Cyrene.
Libya is in Africa as well. So we was always there. We was always there. Drop that. Give me Isaiah 11:11. We were always there. There's no new thing. So I don't understand where the confusion is coming from. A lot of these brothers, they have not grown yet as far as their wisdom and understanding. The waters are still at the ankles. Okay, come on.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 11 and verse 11. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush.
And from where?
And from Cush.
What is Cush again, brothers? Ethiopia. 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 Drop that. Let's go to Zephaniah 3 verse 10. Let's see what the Most High God has to say about Ethiopia. So are we going to listen to men or are we going to listen to God? All right? Men that tell you, no, those are not Israelites, those are Hamites. No, that's not true. Israel is still in Africa. And a lot of them look just like Hamites. A lot of them got those weird customs, okay, weird religions, weird appearances, all right? But the seed of Israel is still there. All right? Come on.
The book of Zephaniah, chapter 3 and verse 10. From beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, my suppliants, Even the daughter of my dispersed shall bring mine offering.
So the Most High God is letting you know beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, my suppliance, even the daughter of my dispersed. The word dispersed means scattered. Come on.
Verse 11, in that day shalt thou not be ashamed for all thy doings, wherein thou hast transgressed against me. For then will I take away out of the midst of thee them that rejoice in thy pride, and thou shalt no more be haughty because of my holy mountain.
Come on.
I will also leave in the midst of thee an afflicted and poor people.
The afflicted and poor people are those brothers and sisters, those Israelites who are scattered beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, because they poor as hell over there. They are poor as hell. So God is letting you know there's Israelites over there on the continent. But for some strange reasons, when brothers read that scripture, they take a black highlighter, they mark it, or they just rip the page out. Because they do not want to conform to the truth of the Bible. Okay? But then they poke fun at us when we travel to these different continents, to Africa mainly. They say, oh, they're going out there to bring in Hamites, or they're going out there for money. What money? Didn't the Bible just say a poor and afflicted people? These people walking around with dust in their pocket, sand in their pocket, talking about money. Gotta be kidding me. Gotta be kidding me. So we were amongst these nations, the Hamite nations, for a very long time. As we just showed you, from the book of Genesis all the way to the New Testament, we always had a relationship with the sons of Ham, or we always dwelt amongst them. But because of our disobedience, because of our covetousness, and of course the curses in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, we started to mingle among the nations and learn their ways. Give me Psalms 106. Psalms 106:35. We mingled amongst them and we learned their ways, okay? Yep, Psalms 106, verse 35.
The book of Psalms, chapter 106, verse 35. But were mingled among the heathen and learned their works.
See what God says? We were mingled amongst the heathens and we learned their works. Where do you think we got voodoo from? Where do you think the so-called Haitians, the Levites, where do you think they got voodoo from when they was over there in Benin and Congo and Guinea? They picked it up from them Hamites over there. Okay, come on.
And they served their idols, which were a snare unto them. Yea, they sacrificed their sons and their daughters unto devils.
You hear that? And we were sacrificing our kids unto devils. Come on.
And shed innocent blood, even the blood of their sons and of their daughters, whom they sacrificed unto the idols of Canaan.
Come on.
And the land was polluted with blood.
You see that? And the land was polluted with blood. Okay, to the idols of Canaan. That's talking about Africa. The same thing we do unto this very day. Okay, get me Acts. Let's go to the book of Acts and get me chapter 15 and verse 20. Acts chapter 15 and verse 20. Because Paul told us to be careful. Remember, Paul was the apostle to the Gentiles, meaning those Israelites that were scattered abroad and started to follow Gentile ways, heathenish customs. This is what Paul warned us about. Come on.
The book of Acts, chapter 15 and verse 20. But that we write unto them that they abstain from pollutions of idols, and from fornication, and from things strangled, and from blood.
You hear that? And that was the same thing. That was the same thing that's going on when we inhabited the land of Ham over there in Africa till this very day. Okay, they're eating things with blood. Many of them are eating bush meat, unlawful meats, and so forth. Okay, we held on to these customs, but the Most High God has given us the wisdom and understanding to know, hey, some, I ain't say all, some of those people are our brothers. So we got to go there and drop the word on them and let them know that it's time to repent and it's time to come back home. Okay? So we were mingled and we learned their ways. We were mingled and we learned their ways. However, there are many tribes in Africa who know that they are Israel. There are many tribes in Africa who know that they are Israel, and many of their practices are similar to the Israelites. Okay? I'm only going to talk about two today, but I want to show you this map. Let's get that map. The bishop brought this out before. I'm not going to tell you what book it's from because Esau is going to raise it up another $3,000. Okay? Bring it in a little closer. Now, this book was written in the early 1800s, I believe, or possibly even the 1700s. Look at what Esau knew at that time. Look at that. Ethiopia, Beta Israel, Uganda, Abu Yudaya, Kenya, Hebrew congregation, Rwanda, and Burundi. Go down. Madagascar, Israelites. Look at that. Zimbabwe, Jews. South Africa, Zimbabwe, Lemba, Congo, Baluba. The Baluba Jews were the same ones that King Leopold was slaughtering. Go up, Cameroon. Look at that. Nigeria, Igbo, and Ghana. Up, Cape Verde and Mali. Look at that. This white man knew in the 1800s where these Israelites were at this time and put it in his book. Go down. All right, so we're going to concentrate on Nigeria and Ghana. We're just going to go into those two today, just Nigeria and Ghana. All right, close that out. Let's start with the Igbo. Get me that video. There's a video from BBC. Yep. Let me see.
Some people don't know how to cry. Some people, when they lost their relatives, they don't know how to talk and cry. My name is Amido Klee. I'm a funeral contractor. People came in to pick me to go to their funeral and cry for them. We are all widows. After our husbands died, so we decided to come together to help those who cannot cry. So if we are not there, it will not go on well with them. Some funerals are big funerals. Some are normal. So whenever you invited us and we come in and we notice how big the funeral is how we charge. It's a normal thing. We will all die one day.
That's crazy. That is crazy. All right, let's get the scripture. Let's get Jeremiah 9:17. Jeremiah 9:17. So, is it ironic that these people do that? And guess what? The Israelites did the same thing. It's not ironic. It's that they're the Israelites. Okay, we just read it. The Igbos or Igbos are Israelites in Nigeria, also known as the Biafra. All right, come on.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 9 and verse 17. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, consider ye, and call for the mourning women.
Oh, we said what?
And call for the mourning women.
It says, consider ye and call for the mourning woman. Call for the mourning woman. Come on.
That they may come, and send for cunning women, and they may come. That they may come.
Come on, read on.
And let them make haste and take up a wailing for us, that our eyes may run down with tears.
Damn, you hear what the Bible's saying? And they want to say that we not the Israelites? You got to be kidding me. They want to say that the brothers and sisters over there in Africa ain't the Israelites? You got to be kidding me, man. Read that again from the top. Read from 17 again.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 9 and verse 17. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, consider ye, and call for the mourning women, that they may come, and send for cunning women, that they may come, and let them make haste, and take up a wailing for us, that our eyes may run down with tears, and our eyelids gush out with waters. And our eyelids gush out with waters.
Come on.
For a voice of wailing is heard out of Zion. Mm-hmm. How are we spoiled? Mm-hmm. We are greatly confounded, because we have forsaken the land, because our dwelling have cast us out. Yet hear the word of the Lord, O ye women, and let your ear receive the word of his mouth, and teach your daughters wailing, and everyone her neighbor lamentation.
Wow, all praises. That shows you right there. We are the Israelites, brothers and sisters. And a lot of our brothers and sisters over there are still keeping this custom. So that was one custom that they kept. Let's get some more proof. Get me the letters of Aquino Aluwado. Yeah. That was the book. Is it this one? Nope, that's not it. Yes, this one right here. Okay. All right. The view of the origin of the Igbos in Israel by reasons of social behaviors and cultural similarities was first expressed in about 1789 by an Igbo ex-slave in London, Aluwadu Aquino, in his writings. Okay, let's jump down. It says, we practice circumcision like the Jews. It's not like the Jews, you are the Jews. But because of mingling amongst the heathen for so long, they forgot. So they started to call themselves Igbo and other names. We practiced circumcision like the Jews and made offerings and feasts on that occasion in the same manner as they did. Like them also, our children were named for some event, some circumstance or fancied foreboding at the time of their birth. An example of that is when Sarah laughed because she was going to have a baby. And because of the laughter that she had, she named her child Isaac. Isaac means he laughs. Okay, so the Israelites always had a custom of naming their children after some kind of an event. So the Igbos had the same custom. He's letting you know right here. Okay? It says, furthermore, Aquino recounted that in the Igbo society, adultery was punished with death or slavery, a practice that is also Jewish. I cringe at that word. Let's replace that with Israelite. A practice that is also Israelite. Indeed, the sentence of slavery for an offense tantamount to death in the then Igbo language, since it was believed that slaves were purchased by the white people to be killed and eaten that their blood was used to make red cloth. Wow. Well, we'll touch on that on a later class that I'll probably bring out. A lot of people didn't know Esau was eating us too. They think it was just taking us as slaves. They was eating us too and using our blood to make red cloth. Again, the Igbo, like the Jews, according to Aquino, are almost a nation of dancers, musicians, and poetry. Thus, every great event, such as triumphant return from battle or other cause of public rejoicing, is celebrated in public dances which are accompanied with song and music. Okay? Wow. Song and music. That reminds me of, we don't got to get it, sake of time. You have Psalms 148. You have when King David came back and was dancing, coming back from war, right? They had you had the songs of Miriam. You had the song of Moses. Okay, just like the Igbos, no new thing under the sun. Now let's get the let me see. Put that back up. Let's get the video from Shaka Zulu that everybody knows. Everybody knows about this video. But I'm going to show you something. Come on.
It's only by the grace of God that any of these people will reach their as yet unknown destinations alive. Or maybe it's his will that they don't. So, Lieutenant, why are you venturing into those forsaken regions?
What do you know about a man named Shaka?
Does that answer your question, Lieutenant? The Masani tribe, Umulos, Lubis, Unus, Yunguanis, countless others, the banished of Southeast Africa, fleeing Shaka's spears, going straight into the arms of the white slave traders and the British troops on the borders of the Cape Colony. In a way, Lieutenant, they are the ultimate victims of recent history. If you'll favor my comparison, they are the wandering Jews of Africa. Fleeing the Pharaoh Shaka, they are the wandering Jews of Africa. Fleeing the Pharaoh Shaka, they are the wandering Jews of Africa. Fleeing the Pharaoh Shaka into the Babylonian captivity of slavery.
And he was right about that. When we're reading Psalms 137, Esau is the daughter of Babylon. Esau is the daughter of Babylon. He was right about that. But you see how he tries to throw things in there to confuse you? He said, if you favor my comparison. He said, if you favor. So they're not the Jews, but I'm comparing them to the Jews. That's BS. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you that the people that had high positions in society, they know who the Israelites are. Can I get the memorandum, please, on the Ebos? Let's get the memorandum on the Ebos. This is from a government website. This is from a .gov. This is not fictitious. This is not a fake letter. Okay, this is Foreign Relations 1969 to 1976. Documents on Africa. From Henry Kissinger, the devil that the Bible speaks of. All right, he was writing Richard Nixon. Okay, is letting you know options in Biafra relief. You asked for a study of the Biafra relief problem by January 28. A member of my staff prepared the attached survey. I have taken the liberty of underlining the most significant parts. Okay, let's go down. Let's read the most significant parts. Go down. Go down. Go down. I want to about Colonel Njuku. Down right there. Biafra. 3,000 square miles, 4 to 6 million. Always trying to number the children of Israel. Colonel Ojukwu, 35, British trained, Earth's wild playboy. So that they already knew this dude's background. Presides over the popular support and military morale of a people convinced that defeat means extinction. The Igbos are the wandering Jews of West Africa. It didn't say, if you favor my comparison. It says the Igbos are the wandering Jews of West Africa, gifted, aggressive, westernized, at best envied and resented. Wow. It says best envied and resented, but mostly despised by the mass of their neighbors in the Federation. They have fought well by African standards against heavy odds. Their cynical public relations use of the starvation has been brilliant. Now, I heard this before. Let's pull up the article. Because remember, it says gifted, aggressive, envied. They had talent. Let's pull up the from Babylon of Timbuktu. Babylon of Timbuktu. I believe it's page 90. Okay. Is this it right here? Let me scroll down. People to the Jews. That's it? Okay, what part? I want to get to the point. Scroll down. Okay, right here. The black Jews had an advantage over the African tribe. Does that word sound familiar, y'all? Advantage. What was that, Romans 9? What advantage then hath the Jew? Romans, what chapter again? Romans 3. All right, we don't got to get it. The black Jews had an advantage over the African tribes. They carried their culture, history, laws, and written records with them. This is when we first came into the land of Ham. Okay? This assured them a constant precedent for the development of a higher social organization. Because of the stability of the black Jewish culture, the Jews were not absorbed into the autochthonous population. In fact, the Jews absorbed some of the native tribes. The Jews made use of every opportunity. They were industrious and skillful people. In the Jewish Ghanaian states were found kings, princes, governors, generals, secretaries, treasurers, revenue agents, judges, architects, engineers, doctors, historians, language interpreters, mathematicians, jewelers, sculptors, masons, carpenters, painters of art, goldsmiths, leather workers, potters, armorers, saddlers, blacksmiths, agriculturists, and etc. Gifted and at best envied and resented, just like Henry Kissinger told Richard Nixon. Okay? Wow. That is amazing. That is beautiful, man. But in the process of time, ungodly customs grew. We started to follow it because we were mingled amongst the heathens for way too long, and that was a curse upon us. Okay? Do we have anything else on the Igbos I want to pull out? But hold up. Let me see. Nope, that's Ashanti. Nope, not that. Nope, that's it. Okay, all right. Now let's go to the next tribe. So we talked about Igbo. Now let's go to the Ashanti. Let's get first. Let's deal with the name. Let's go to Joshua. Read verse 20.
The book of Joshua, chapter 15 and verse 20. This is the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Judah according to their families.
So what are we reading? We're reading about the inheritance of the children of Judah. Now jump to verse 42.
Verse 42. Libnah and Ether and Ashan.
Libnah and Ether and Ashan. Ashan. That's where you get the name Ashanti from. Okay, Ashan means smoke. T means people of the smoke. Okay, Ashanti comes from that word. That's where that name comes from. Now, let's go into history. All right, let's get the book. Go back. Let's get the picture of the priests crossing the Pra River. All right, right there. Look at that image right there. Look at that image. That picture is in Igbo's, the book Igbo, and also Hebrewism of West Africa, I believe. Okay? This is a priest. Look, he got the mitri. He has the ephod. He has the breastplate. Now, Esau will try to tell you a lot of nations had the breastplate. He's actually right. There's different nations where their priests had breastplates, but no nation ever had the breastplate that Israel had with the 12 tribes, with the 12 stones on it. Okay? They never had that. That is a distinct breastplate. Okay? This is the illustration. This is not, brothers and sisters, this is not a comic book. This is from a real book. This was from a real drawing, a real illustration. Okay? Let's get the proof. Okay? Drop that. Close that out. Let's get the book. Let's read it out of the book. I have it highlighted. All right, right here. Let's get the other one. Go back. There's another page. Let's start with this one first. All right. Okay, I'm not going to read the whole thing. It says the accompanying illustration is entitled Ashanti Ambassadors Crossing the Pra. The Pra was a river. It is a direct reproduction of an actual drawing made by Melton Pryor, an illustrator for the Illustrated London News. He accompanied, so he was there. He accompanied the British colonial expeditionary forces in West Africa during the famous Ashanti War of 1873 to 1874. Go to the next page. Describes the breastplate worn by the Ashanti ambassadors, but simply as a large gold-plated badge on his breast. Okay, I'm only going to read the highlighted parts. Pointed to the gold plates on their breasts as being their insignia of office. Jump down. It says the answer is that the square breastplate, because he was saying that, hey, other nations had breastplates too. But if you realize, this is the craftiness of Esau. In the drawing, there was a separation. You seen the stones, and you seen the different rows. Okay, so it wasn't just one breastplate of a gold-plated breastplate on the man's chest. There was different things in it that he described, that he drew. Okay, and it was the 12 stones, the 12 tribes of Israel. It says, why have we so carefully documented the authenticity and reliability of the illustration by Pryor? Of what importance is it as eyewitness proof of Hebrew civilization in Black West Africa? The answer is that the square breastplate worn by the Ashanti ambassador seated on the raft in the middle of the Pra River in the very heart of Ashanti territory is comprised of 12 parts or sections, just as it was that breastplate worn by biblical priests, Exodus 28 and 21. Wow, beautiful. That is beautiful. Okay, drop that. Let's get the picture of the ephod. Give me Exodus 28, 21, and then give me the picture of the ephod. Look at that right here. It was the same thing. It had 3 stones, 4 rows. It was the same thing on this man's chest. Let's pull up the picture again. Let's pull up the picture of the priest. Look at that. You can see it. Zoom in a bit. Zoom in. Look at that. Now point to the stones. 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's 12 stones. 4 different sections. 3 stones on each row. Those are the Israelites that the Bible speaks of.
That's right.
All right? Read what you got.
The book of Exodus, chapter 28, verse 21. And the stone shall be with the names of the children of Israel, 12, according to their names, like the engraving of a signet. Every one with his name shall they be according to the 12 tribes.
You see that? So those were the 12 stones. All right? And it was on Aaron's chest. It was on all the high priest's chests. Okay? Let's get I believe it's Wisdom of Solomon 18:24. And this is another cut for John 3:16 too. Come on.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 18 and verse 24. For in the long garment was the whole world.
So the picture that we just seen of the Ashanti priest, he had a long garment and a mitre. Come on.
For in the long garment was the whole world, and in the 4 rows of the stones was the glory of the Father's graven, and thy majesty upon the diadem of his head.
Wow. So the world that was on his chest, on the priest's chest, on Aaron's chest, was the 12 tribes of Israel, just like we seen with the Ashanti priests. Okay? No difference. No difference. Okay, those are the Israelites. Let's get the other article. Right here, okay? So this is in the same book, and it says, in the Ashanti language, God also is called Nyankompone Kwame, which means God alone, great one, to whom Sabbath, Saturday, is dedicated. Let me read that again. In the Ashanti language, God also is called Nyankompone Kwame, which means God alone, great one, to whom Sabbath is dedicated. Kwame means Saturday. So they understood that the supreme God dedicated Saturday as the day of worship. Who are we reading about? The Ashanti. Who are the Ashanti? Israelites. All right, this is beautiful. This is beautiful, beautiful history on what we're bringing out. All right, now let's go to my favorite website, Slave Voyages, slavevoyages.com. So this is a database website where it has all of the records of our forefathers taken from the shores of Africa, brought over here to this side, and also Europe. Okay? And it documented their names, it documented their age, their gender, the voyage ID of the ship, the names of the ship, the names of the captains of the ship. Where did they embark? Where did they disembark? How many people killed themselves? How many people died on the ships? And how many people lived through the voyage? Okay? Now, because we just read how Lemuel said how they named themselves after certain events. What you're going to find out is a lot of our forefathers that came over here on this side from the west coast of Africa, a lot of them had Hebrew names. A lot of them had Hebrew names. Now, when you go on this site and you type in Judah, look what pops up. You got Judo, different pronunciations and spellings of Judah. You had Gudo. You had this one, Ajuda, right? Scroll down. Look at that. Juba, right there. Juja, Juma, go up. Now, erase Judah, put in Yah. Put in Yah. Yah. Ah, look at that. You got Yah. A lot of people named Yah after the Most High. A lot of people named after the Most High. Scroll down. Yah, 25-year-old male. Another person named Yah, 25-year-old female. Okay? And the name, when you go to the right, it tells you the name of the ship right there. Those are the names of the ship. Go back to the database. Let's put in another name. Put in Ezekiel. Let's try that. Let's try Ezekiel. Because a lot of y'all looking for these bugged out names with the click sounds and bouffale poo-poo and, they looking for crazy names. But look at this. Look at that. You got Ezeki, right? Azili, Asaki, Anikaye, Azakim, Azil. Go up. Put in Jeremiah. Look what pops up. Jeremiah. Jeremiah with a Y. Look at that. These are the names that we had. Put in Isaac. Look at that. Boom. 27-year-old male. Ship name S. Wazinho, which was probably a Portuguese slave ship. Another Isaac, 11-year-old male. What the year of the voyage? 1812, 1814. Look at this thing. Okay, go back. Let's choose another name. Give me a name. Huh? Levi. Let's try it. Oh, whoa. You had people in Africa called Levi. And what year was this? 1836. 12-year-old male named Levi. Name of the ship, Antonina. You had another brother, a female, a Levi. And the I probably made it feminine. That's why it was probably spelt like that. What year? 1833. Ship name, Jaquino. Look at that. Then you have a 40-year-old male, Levi or Levy with 2 L's. 40-year-old male taken into captivity. What year? 1836. What ship? Precosa. All right? You could drop that. You close it out. So, brothers and sisters, we pray that you were edified with today's class, and there is Israelites in Africa. All right? Do not be deceived by these different doctrines out there. And our job is to go abroad and wake up the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Okay? And with that, we say shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom. This is Bishop Nathaniel of Israel United in Christ. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels. Stay up to date with our latest events, music, and classroom lessons. IUIC plans to continue visiting different countries where this gospel has not been preached before. IUIC needs your help in pushing this truth. So join us. Subscribe to our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and podcast, and stay up to date with us. For more information, please visit www.israelunite.org.